Welcome one and all. I am Ankita Sharma, a third year BSc student from Christ TV University. My peers Setu Chaitanya and I will talk about the development of the insurance sector in India. Now let's first talk about the term insurance itself. When we hear the word insurance, we feel a bit uneasy as we tend to associate it with terms like life and death situations, medical emergencies, and financial losses. This is because it is one of the most misunderstood concepts in economics. As per Hindu philosophy, Yad Bhavati Tat Nashyati, destruction is bound to happen. To cover this risk of loss, the concept came into existence. Simply put, insurance is just a contract represented by a policy in which an individual or entity receives financial protection or reimbursement against losses from an insurance company. There are two types of insurance: life and non life insurance. Non life insurance is also known as general insurance. Okay, so, life insurance is a contract between an insurer and a policyholder in which the insurer guarantees the payment of a death benefit to the named beneficiaries when the insured passes away. While in general insurance, it includes policies like automobile, homeowners policies, which provides payments depending on the loss from a particular financial event. This is why general insurance is typically defined as any insurance which is not life insurance. Now let's go into the history of insurance. Insurance dates back to the ancient era, when Chinese and Babylonian traders would divide their items among various ships that had to cross dangerous waters to limit the loss of goods and merchants. One of the first documented losses was noted in the Code of Hammurabi, which was written around 1750 BC. Approximately 3000 years ago, the uses of insurance was also mentioned in the Rig Veda by the Aryans. Greeks and Romans also introduced health and life insurance in the 600 AD. Even though life insurance has been a part of the Indian culture since forever, it came in its modern form to India from England in the year 1818 when the Oriental Life Insurance Company was started in Calcutta by Europeans as the first life insurance company in India. Similarly, Mumbai and Madras followed with Bombay Life Assurance Company and Madras Equitable Assurance Company in the years 1823 and 1829 respectively. Fun fact, Indians used to pay a higher premium than British residents, but this was excluded in the Bombay Life Assurance Company. Even though in the early years, insurance industry was highly unregulated in India, it was actually in the year 1912 when the Indian Life Insurance Companies Act was passed and around 176 insurance companies came up in India with the total business valuing around rupees 300 crores. It was around the same time that the Insurance Act of 1938 was passed. On September 1st, 1956, a life insurance company Corporation of India, now popularly known as LIC, was established with the intent of covering all the Indians across the length and breadth of the country. In the year 1972, the General Insurance Business Act was passed, and all 107 odd companies existing here and there were merged into four, which were New India Assurance Company Limited, National Insurance Company Limited, and Oriental Life Insurance Company Limited, along with United India Insurance Company Limited. Then in 1999, IRDAI was set up to regulate and develop the insurance sector, and private sector was finally permitted to enter the insurance sector in India. IRDAI now works as an autonomous body that works towards growing the insurance industry. In 2001, foreign players like Allianz and Prudential entered the market, and GIC notified as India's reinsurer, and its subsidiaries structured as independent companies owned by the government. In 2015, the cap on foreign investments raised from 26% to 49%, and several foreign players increased their stakes. Today, IRDAI continues to frame regulations under Section 114 of the Insurance Act 1938, and it also promotes e-commerce. Now, Setu will tell you about the current insurance condition of India during the pandemic.
So Ankita spoke about the history and development of insurance during the early stages. One of the main reasons why insurance failed during that particular time was because people did not have trust in this particular sector. Hence, to develop people's trust in this particular sector, an autonomous body named IRDAI, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, was set up in the year 1999. This body was solely responsible for all the financial activities that took place within this sector and was also responsible for the growth and development of this particular sector. Under the guidance of IRDAI, it was observed that in the past 2 decades, the insurance sector had shown a growth of more than 40%. And speaking about the current financial year 2020, it was seen that it had shown a growth of more than 15%, of which 13% was seen in non-life insurance firms and 18% was seen in life insurance firms. And in a recent article published by General Insurance Council, it was clearly stated that 32.7% of the income earned in July 2020 was solely earned from the health insurance premium segment. And hence there are more than 57 insurance firms in India, of which more than 46 of them are private. Now moving on to the current pandemic situation, as we all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has created a havoc across the country and has also affected the Indian insurance sector. One of the main reasons of this is because the Indian insurance sector is not organized properly when compared to the foreign and other European markets. But looking at the positive side, it was seen that it had created a path for massive digitization in the health and life insurance industry. This is because an IRDA has issued a new policy or a relaxation for people stating that the KYC for the insurance can be done online, which is considered to be one of the biggest steps towards digitalization and development of this particular sector. For example, certain insurance brokers have started giving health insurance to people online for a sum assured of up to rupees 1 lakh, 10 lakhs without the need of a physical medical health checkup. And to maintain people's trust during this particular period, the IRDAI has issued a notice stating that all the death claims reported under COVID-19 must be handled expeditiously by the insurance firms, and also added that all the medical expenses during the course of treatment, including the treatment during quarantine period, shall be settled by the insurance providers itself. So this is one of the biggest steps towards the development of this particular sector. Speaking after when this notice of policy came into act, it was witnessed that most of the hospitals have started misusing this and using this as a source of income, which was obviously unethical. This is because the hospitals have started billing people with a lot of unwanted medical costs, which they are unaware of. This is because they know that most of the people are insured, and obviously most of its cost is to be borne by the insurance firms only. Hence, leaving all the negative factors aside, it was seen that the insurance sector had given a large breakout in terms of growth, which was obviously very rapid. And in future, this growth will obviously be led by the major insurance firms in India. So now Chaitanya will brief you about the recent advancements in this particular sector.
Okay, so as Setu talked about the COVID-19 impacts on the Indian insurance industry, I'll be addressing the recent advancements and the future prospects of the Indian insurance market. So the future of the Indian insurance markets rests on three factors basically. The first one being the IFRS 17 norms that were introduced in 2017 and that will be implemented in the year 2023. The second one being the insurtech industry, which is a very new industry for India and it's just 4 to 5 years old. And the third one being the advent of tech giants like WhatsApp and Facebook into the Indian insurance market. So coming to the first factor, the IFRS 17, we know that the IFRS are the standard accounting norms globally that every insurer has to abide by. So they affect the insurance industry as they change the way these contracts are like they are introducing the underwriting and the solvency, the determination of free reserves and the measurement of investment property. Also the deadline for this initially was 1st January 2021, which was extended by 2 years to 1st January 2023. The extension was in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, even if it weren't for the pandemic, Indian insurers were not really ready to address these changes this soon because the Indian insurance industry is not as advanced as the Western and the European markets. Lastly, the company do need to understand the impact of the amendments on their business and revisit their implementation process and work out what new data has to be collected to facilitate this transition. This will be beneficial not only for the investors but also for the insurers as they can get a better insight into their business, and for investors it will be good as they can get a more transparent view of the financials of the insurance company. Now coming to the second factor, that is our InsurTech. So InsurTech is basically, as we know, it's a portmanteau for two terms, that is insurance and technology. It basically means that any technology that can be used by the insurance company to increase the efficiency of its operation, to save on costs, or to streamline the process. InsurTech, as I mentioned before, is a very new industry, especially for India. Also, as we saw, Setu mentioned the use of KYC that is being done online due to the pandemic. So that is an example of InsurTech, as the process is now being streamlined and it's making more easier for the consumers to buy the insurance policy from the insurers, as they can just upload the documents and they can be verified in a day or two. Also, now we'll be talking about the type of InsurTech that are currently in use. The first one being the artificial intelligence, then machine learning, Internet of Things, smartphone apps, drones, etc. First, and now coming to the artificial intelligence, we see that in our CRISE website, there is a chatbot named Chris Chat to assist with our queries. Likewise, insurance companies are also using chatbots to address the queries of existing policyholders or the new customers. Now, coming to machine learning, I would like to point out that this has major implications of the recent advent of the data and analytics industry that has come into sight due to the explosion of data in the recent years, due to the increased volume, variety, and the velocity of data. So machine learning enables the insurers to mine their data more effectively and extract the valuable information. So these some ways in which the insurtech industry is using machine learning into their operations is risk modeling, demand modeling, identification of fraud claims, processing those claims, and underwriting. Now coming to the Internet of Things. So Internet of Things is basically the concept of Internet of Things is basically the ordinary machines that are connected to internet, which process the information and send to the data centers. A classic example of this is how Tesla sells its insurance. So in Tesla cars, there are such it's basically called telematics, where the cars like already have this uh, system installed, which sends the information like the braking patterns and acceleration of the driver to the data centers. So though they can analyze the driving habits of the driver and term him as a bad driver or a good driver or other categories that they might have, and they can use it to process its claims that if they are genuine or not, and they can also use it to calculate premiums for that driver. This ultra personalized approach is not yet in India, but it might be soon relevant, because Tesla is currently in talks with the Karnataka government to introduce its plant in like near Bangalore. So once Tesla enters the market, it will be hugely disruptive for the automotive industry insurance sector. Now coming to another example that we do use today is Fitbit. So we know that the data from Fitbits is collected and sent to firms, but we don't know how is that used. So insurance companies can use the data of Fitbits to calculate premiums in such a way that if a person is taking care of himself and is walking more number of steps in a day, and his heart rate is like just as normal, so he will be charged a normal rate of premiums. But a person like who is very like unhealthy and lazy, like he will be charged a higher rate of premium, because for him the risk of uh, disease and death is high. So that is justified if we view it that way. Then we come to our new entrants into the Indian insurance market, which are Facebook and WhatsApp. So WhatsApp plans to offer credit, insurance, and pension products to the low income individual and those who live in rural areas of India. The app has been working with 4 Indian banks, namely HDFC, Kotak Mahindra, ICICI, and Bharti AXA. All right, so it is looking for ways to explore the financial services for individuals who have yet to become part of the banking population. The bankers have already realized that this will be hugely um, advantageous for them, because WhatsApp is currently the most used app in India. So why are companies coming to WhatsApp for insurance? First of all, in this pandemic, like advertisement has been on its high, but insurers are not seeing as much as its benefits to consumers, because like they are on screen all day and they mostly ignore these commercials. But everyone uses WhatsApp, so insurance companies like Bharti AXA, ICICI, and Aditya Birla Insurance are integrating their services into WhatsApp, so they can sell policies online and take the claims in WhatsApp itself. So although there are some drawbacks to using WhatsApp, as phones are prone to hacking, the documents that might be submitted through WhatsApp may be handed over to third party by some hacker for some price. So it's obviously it's not safe. Then also India has a fair share of individuals that are not yet into these apps like WhatsApp or any other social media handle, so they might not find it easy to buy policy or to ask for like or to file claims, and or worse, they might be even led to buying the wrong policy. So yeah, that's an issue right now. So in conclusion, we feel that I feel that WhatsApp is a new entrant into industry, and it's going to be very disrupted for the entire market. However, it needs to be kept in check. But the insurers who are not included in this initiative will obviously lose a competitive edge, as it is the new way that things are about to happen in our industry. All right, that's it. Thank you.